Minnesota state troopers will likely be called on a lot as drivers try to navigate the weather across the state this weekend. But today they were called out in a different way during a report on their compensation by the legislative auditor. John Croman's here to take a deeper look. Hey, John.
Hey, Ken, state lawmakers years ago asked the legislative auditor to make periodic reviews of how state trooper pay stacks up against large police departments that are competing for the same pool of law enforcement talent. Well, the review from 2019 prompted lawmakers to give troopers a raise, and that's reflected in this new snapshot from 2022. At the Centennial Building, the legislative auditor's staff has been busy since June compiling data on police and state patrol wages. We talked to Deputy Legislative Auditor Jody Rodriguez.
We look through all of the contracts for the cities and the state troopers that are included in the report. We look through rate sheets for health insurance, dental insurance. We look through information on their retirement benefits. It's a good amount of paper.
The findings in this new report: that state patrol troopers starting pay in 2022 was at $5,766 per month, about 2% above the median starting wage for a group of 34 larger police departments.
The law states that the cities we should include for comparison purposes are the ones in the Twin Cities that are over 25,000 and then statewide that are 100,000 or more in population.
But on top pay at $7,743 per month, 8% below the median in that group of police departments. Top pay, when it comes to this study, is
it's that highest wage they can get to after the highest number of years that they're required to complete in order to get to that top wage without having a different designation. So we were looking at non-supervisory police officers and troopers.
The report points out state troopers can get top pay in only 7 years. Whereas in Inver Grove Heights, for example, which had the highest top pay in 2022, it would take 20 years to get to that top level.
There is the possibility for both police officers and state troopers to earn a higher wage by taking on some of those duties that would offer supplemental pay.
We're still not as competitive as we need to be, not necessarily at that starting wage, but at that top wage.
Sergeant Mike Ledoux heads the Minnesota State Patrol Troopers Association.
That top wage is important because if you're underpaid while you're working, it affects you that way, of course. But then in retirement, because your retirement is based upon those earnings as well, you get penalized essentially twice.
Ledoux says he's glad state lawmakers raised trooper pay in recent years, but in these times, it's easy to start lagging behind.
And when you look at that 35 city comparison group, it's hard for me to accept that state troopers fall at number 33 out of 35 cities. And keep in mind, these are the cities that our representatives in St. Paul and our senators said are appropriate to compare Minnesota state troopers to.
It comes at a time when hundreds of law enforcement officers statewide are nearing retirement age, and recruiting is tougher than ever.
I think it's reasonable to say that pay in and of itself isn't the driving factor why somebody becomes a law enforcement officer. But it does become crucial when you have a limited applicant pool, right? The old law of supply and demand, that you pay a competitive wage.
Now, the head of the State Patrol, Colonel Matt Langer, had this today to say. He said the objective, comprehensive, and thorough report completed by the OLA sheds factual light on an important issue when it comes to recruiting and retaining our workforce of state troopers. The end product will inform important conversations related to salary. Kent?
Yeah, it's really interesting, John, when he talks about that supply and demand. We've heard that from many departments across the state. They're all competing for this pool of people right now.
That's right, and a lot of folks are about to retire, which will make it even worse.
All right, thanks, John.